Hello, it's Dr. Joseph Martin here again. Our topic for today is Heart of Stone, People of Stone, and why almost everyone on the planet has a broken heart. Now, the topic is a very important one because many people have broken hearts with their relationships with their parents or siblings and their families, and many people have had several, if not numerous, experiences of broken hearts in trying to create a loving friendship or finding another partner, a significant other, a life mate, a soul mate. And it seems all the people that I know, very few of them actually have found their soul mate or their significant other and able to keep and co-create and evolve a very beautiful, open-hearted, vulnerable, empathic, empathetic relationship. Well, then why is it that most people have a heart of stone? And why is it that we've created people of stone in this 21st century in the world, globally, in fact? I know that many of you probably experience it yourself with your friendships that sometimes are not trustworthy or not trustworthy enough, and perhaps at business with your coworkers or your boss, that they're more interested in themselves and they put on false masks and you're not sure if you can trust them, and one day you're in and the next day you're out, literally out on the street without a job. The question is, who can you trust in this world? But let's go back to the causes of this. We all have been living in the sad, suffering experiences of this in all kinds of relationships. But what has caused this? Let's look at some mythologies around this and some stories. Stories are always the most enlivening and enlightening. Well, one of the ancient Greek mythologies is the story of Pandora's box. There was a greedy nobleman who knew that in Hades, in the underworld, in hell if you like, there was a special box there that was reputed to have all kinds of powerful magic in it. So he asked Hercules and Jason to go down into the underworld. They did this by astral travel, and well, their physical bodies were dormant, and they did find the box. But the individual, the underworld female goddess, if you like, told them that they shouldn't steal the box and shouldn't take it back to the third dimensional world of Middle Earth, because if they did, and if somebody was selfish enough or looking for power too much, they would open the box and it would unleash all human evils on the planet. That people would be attracted to evil, they'd be attracted to hatred, and they would stop at nothing to gain all the power over everyone else on the planet, including all humans, all animals, all plants, trees, and natural resources. Well, if you look around you and you listen to the news and you experience the truth of what's happened over all these millennia, isn't this what's happened? 160 million people killed in war alone in the last 113 years, and many, many more, tens of millions dying of starvation, um, bad water with illnesses, bacteria in it, and it caused dysentery, dehydration, and all kinds of other climatic problems and so on. But many of these are self-induced by humanity. Now, okay, well, seems to be the truth. Now, in our Mohawk way, the Kanien'kehá:ka way, and I am Mohawk, as you know, we say that back before invasion by the white European colonialists and those who brought the European way, which was nice in some ways, some technology and some new ways of thinking, very mentalistic, certainly not too heartfelt, and smallpox as well, and other kinds of illnesses, measles and so on. We had prophecies by all our great medicine women and medicine men and shamans saying that there were these stone giants that would be coming to Turtle Island or North America, and same to be said to Central and South America and the West Indies, that these stone giants had no heart. They were very smart in some ways and dull-witted in others, very tall and had interesting technology. But they would just trample on all of the people here, the First Nations and indigenous ones, and all the animals would be killed, and some of them would be gone forever and disappeared and no more of their own kind, and certainly all the natural resources would be just torn up and ripped up and pulled up, including all the trees. And we had images of some of these individuals having forked tongues, that they would say one thing out of one side of their mouth and plan and prepare and promise all sorts of things, and then in reality, shortly thereafter, and certainly for 500 years now, none of it came to pass. All these broken promises and broken treaties or negligent treaties, and everything was just taken by the crown. People, First Nations, always wondered why they had to be put on reserves and given more land when everything was Mother Earth's own land, and there was nothing to be given by Queen Victoria. She didn't know anything about the land here in Canada. But in any case, we have all these stories, including probably from Canada's one of our foremost playwrights, George Riga, who is probably, his play, The Ecstasy of Rita Joe, is probably the most well-known play in all of Canadian history. Certainly a real charming, but somehow telling commentary on the fact that those people with stone hearts, these stone technological giants and corporate giants, have created, because of their heartlessness, and I suppose we could even say their psychopathic ways, sociopathic ways, have created nothing but trauma and challenge and chaos to the natural world and to the indigenous world here. And Canada still, unlike most of the indigenous peoples of all the world cultures, is suffering from racism, prejudice, derogatory kind of attitudes and actions towards Native women and the feminine side and the Earth Mother. In fact, here in Canada, there are still First Nations tribes that have no treaties, and we have many cases, particularly in Vancouver and southern BC area, where there have been scores of First Nations women killed, murdered, and raped. And there's some cases up in front of the courts now, hundreds of them, in fact, along the Trail of Tears, the Highway of Tears. This is just an example of what's happened to people of good-heartedness. We call them Unkwehonwe, people with a true open heart, kind, good heart, and by people of stone. Now, the challenge for us who have some people still, there's no kind of value judgment on this. I'm trying to point out to those of you listening that if you've been inculcated into society, and you have been, whether you know it or not, that's given you a stone heart, maybe a good mind, but not a real education in what it means to be a human being. What has this done to you? Maybe you're aware that the bullying that goes on in schools and the one-upmanship and the lies and deceit that go on in businesses and corporations, these are all fallouts of people with stone hearts. And it's done nothing but give you a broken heart. And I don't just mean romantically in terms of friendships, but financially too. You realize there's no way ahead because we can't compete. We need to cooperate. So this is what's important, I think. We need to acknowledge the fact that there are two kinds of ways of being for any one of us. And you get a choice every moment of every day. You can either be an Unkwehonwe, kind, respectful, open-hearted, true, divine human being who respects and is in service and stewardship for all our relations. Or you can be what we say, as George Rigas had his figure in his play called Indian, earlier than The Ecstasy of Rita Joe. He said there's two kinds of people in the world. There are those with true good hearts, and there's we call cementos. I guess kind of like a Spanish word, I guess, in a way that suggests that you can choose to have or become a cement heart, a stone heart. We have enough kind of knowledge and, of course, history and plays and movies and TV shows of women and men all over the world just growing up to be a stone heart. Well, you can change this and transform and become a true-hearted being anytime you choose. And that's the substance of our upcoming series. This is an introduction yet again to the I Am Self-Worth, Self-Love online series of self-education, self-realization. And I trust you enjoy your path and your process. My wish that I'm sending you is that through no matter what challenges you've been through, it is always important to become a true human being. That's the only way to be joyful and happy. So I wish you all well on your path of bliss. And as we say, Skana Goa, the peace is great. All blessings until the next time. Dr. Joseph, over and out and in.